Hello everybody, I'm continuing my Rolling Stones reviews with their 22nd studio album, Voodoo Lounge, released in July 1994. So, of course, there was a long gap between this album and the previous one, Steel Wheels, a 5-year gap. So, yeah, I consider this a comeback album for the Stones. Some people consider Steel Wheels a comeback album, which I agree with. Like I said, I agree with that to some extent, but I don't fully agree with that opinion. But this one, I actually do consider this a comeback album. I like this much better than Steel Wheels. And this, of course, is the first Stones album without Bill Wyman. He left the band in 1993, so before this album was recorded. So yeah, but it does feature Daryl Jones on bass. So he's like the session bass player, and he also plays bass on tour as well. So yeah, I really like this album. It's one of only 2 albums they did in the 90s, the other one being Bridges to Babylon. But I think this one is definitely the better of the 2, in my opinion. So we'll go through the track listing now. So it starts off with Love is Strong, which I think this is a great song, actually. It's a great blues rocker. It's got that. This is the album where I think they're kind of back to their blues roots, whereas a lot of their 80s albums had the more sort of pop sound. This is back to the blues rock sound. So yeah, Love is Strong is fantastic. You Got Me Rocking is a great rocking song. Sparks Will Fly is another really underrated track. I love this one. It's a great rocker. And then we got one called The Worst. It's not the worst track on the album. That's just the song title. It's called The Worst. It's a Keith Richards ballad. It's all right. It's not one of the best tracks on the album, but it's decent. It's inoffensive. It's just not one that I go out of my way to listen to. But it's fine. New Faces is a pretty good track, actually. There's some songs on this album that I wasn't too keen on when I first heard this album, but it's grown on me. It's definitely grown on me a bit. New Faces is a pretty good track. Moon Is Up is actually quite good as well. I love that effect that's on mixed vocals. But yeah, it's a really good song. Out of Tears is actually a really nice song. I Go Wild. This is another underrated Stones track. I feel I love this one. It's a great rocker. Brand New Car is a really good rocker. Sweethearts Together is pretty decent. Suck on the Jugular is pretty cool. Blinded by Rainbows is quite a nice track. Baby Break It Down is decent. Through and Through is another pretty decent track, and it ends with Mean Disposition, which is quite a cool upbeat rocker and good closing track. So yeah, Voodoo Lounge, I think it's a really good album, although my main issue with it is that I find it's a little bit too long. It's 16 songs? It's like 16 tracks on here, and I feel they could have just cut it down to like 10 or 12 tracks. Like, that would have been so much better. I mean, none of the songs on here are bad, but there's a few on here that I'm not too worried about. You know, this would, in my opinion, would be better as a 10 track or 12 track album. But it's still a good album, and it's got good production on it as well. The production on it actually does make it sound really good. You know, when compared to their previous couple of albums, you know, the production on them wasn't great, but this one's got a good production on it. I like the cover as well. It's like it's a voodoo doll there. So yeah, really good album, but yeah, just a bit too long. But I'm gonna give it. I'll give this a 7 out of 10. But let me know what you think of Voodoo Lounge, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review. My next review will be on Bridges to Babylon, so I'll see you then.